time travel to the past is ever invented, at any point in the future, we should already be seeing time travelers right now. Not in science fiction, not in movies. Right here, right now, walking among us. The fact that we don't see them isn't reassuring. It's one of the most unsettling unsolved problems in all of physics. And the explanations for why they're not here, each one is stranger than the last. Here's the thing most people get wrong about time travel. They think of it as a future problem, something that will either get invented or won't. But that's not how the logic works. Time isn't a road you travel forward on. It's more like a landscape that already exists. Every moment, past, present, and future exists simultaneously. That's not science fiction. That's what Einstein's theory of relativity actually implies. And if that's true, then the question isn't whether time travel will be invented. The question is, if it ever gets invented by anyone, anywhere, at any point in the next billion years, why aren't we already drowning in visitors from the future? This is called the Fermi Paradox of time travel, and nobody has satisfactorily answered it. Let's start with what physics actually says. Going forward in time, easy. You're already doing it right now. But Einstein showed us something remarkable. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. A clock on a fast-moving spaceship ticks slower than a clock on Earth. This isn't a theory anymore. We've measured it. GPS satellites have to constantly correct for this effect, because they're moving fast enough that time runs slightly slower for them than it does for us on the ground. If you got into a rocket, traveled at 99% the speed of light for what felt like 1 year, and came back, decades would have passed on Earth. You would have traveled forward in time. That's real. That's proven physics. Going backward in time, however, is a completely different problem. Einstein's equations don't forbid it outright. In fact, there are theoretical solutions, wormholes, closed time-like curves, exotic matter, that seem to permit backward time travel mathematically. The universe doesn't say no. It just makes the conditions almost impossibly difficult. Almost, so why aren't they here? There are 3 explanations, and they all keep physicists awake at night. Explanation 1, it's physically impossible. Maybe the universe has a built-in mechanism that prevents backward time travel from ever working. Stephen Hawking called this the chronology protection conjecture. The idea is that the laws of physics conspire, at a quantum level, to prevent any closed time-like curve from ever actually forming. Every time a wormhole gets close to the conditions needed for backward time travel, quantum fluctuations destroy it. The universe protects its own timeline. Hawking believed this was probably true. In 2012, he threw a party for time travelers. He prepared the food, set the tables, put up decorations. Then, after the party was over, he sent out the invitations to anyone in the future who had access to a time machine and wanted to attend. Nobody showed up. He called it the best experimental evidence he had that backward time travel is impossible. It's also one of the loneliest parties in the history of science. Explanation 2, it gets invented, but the past is protected. Some physicists believe time travel might be possible, but only to the point when the time machine was first switched on. You can't go back before the machine exists. This is called the Novikov self-consistency principle. The idea is that the timeline is a closed loop. You can travel within it, but you can't change anything, because everything you do in the past was already part of the timeline that produced the present you came from. The grandfather paradox, where you travel back and kill your own grandfather before your parent is born, making your own existence impossible, doesn't actually cause a problem, because you couldn't kill your grandfather. Not because someone stops you, but because the universe physically prevents any event from occurring that would create a paradox. The timeline is self-healing, which means time travelers exist. They just can't do anything we'd notice. Explanation 3, they're already here, and we can't tell. This one is uncomfortable. What if time travelers move through history invisibly, by design or by rule? The physicist Michio Kaku has suggested that any civilization advanced enough to build a time machine would also understand the catastrophic consequences of altering the past. They would operate under strict protocols. No contact, no interference, no evidence. A time traveler visiting ancient Rome doesn't leave a receipt. A time traveler watching the dinosaurs doesn't drop their phone. If they're disciplined enough, we would have no way of knowing they were ever here, which means the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. They could be everywhere right now.